next panel is moderated by our own Blessing Addition. And this panel is called How to Screen for Flexible and Family-Friendly Companies. So on this panel is Colleen Curtis, who is the head of marketing for the Mom Project, Danielle North, who is the founder of Detroit Women Leadership Network, and last, Amoya Phillips, who is the pharmacist and co-founder of My Dream Big Club. Welcome, panel.
So it looks like the last question is a great segue to this one, because we're going to be talking about how to screen for family-friendly companies and how to achieve flexibility at work. And Melly had a great question, because that's something that I'm struggling with as well, which is how do I go back to work and be taken seriously? My husband is talking about having a fourth child, which I'm like, lock him up. No, just kidding. But I'm like, dude, you are on your own, because again, and I think one of the reasons is because I'm starting to shake, right? Like, oh my God, am I going to be taken seriously with 4 kids in the workplace? So welcome, guys. Welcome to Mother the Summit, and we're going to talk a lot about flexibility. But before we do that, let's introduce ourselves. I know you guys have wonderful platforms. We'll start off with you, Colleen Curtis. Introduce yourself, what you do, what the Mom Project is about, which is a company that values flexibility at work.
It does, yes. So I'm Colleen Curtis, head of community at the Mom Project. The Mom Project was started 3 years ago by our founder, Allison Robinson, who had envisioned a future where people, and women specifically, would not have to choose between being a great mom and also thriving in their career. So built a digital talent marketplace to allow women to match with these employers. A big part of what we do is screening for flexible work policies, helping to promote better policies at the company level by working through research and insights, and then placing women through unique programs that allow them to re-enter and then also to pivot to more flexible and contingent work.
Okay, and Amoya?
So my name is Amoya Phillips. I am a vice president with Rite Aid. I oversee the operations for most of Southern California and Northern California markets. So I'm actually moving. I currently am in Michigan, but I'm going to be moving to LA very soon. I also am the co-founder of My Dream Big Club, which is a hub for young professionals. My husband and I founded here in Detroit. We all get together on a monthly basis to discuss transformative topics, support each other, motivate each other to dream big. It's all about dreaming big. There's no dream that's too big. I'll give you an example. Prior to April of this year, I probably only ran like 1 mile in my life, and well, maybe 3 miles. And now I'm training for a marathon, the Free Press, which is in a week and a half. So that's part of dreaming big, and that's kind of what we're all about. So I'll tell you more as we keep going.
That's why you have a banging body, which you need to.
You want me to model?
We need to exchange bodies.
Hey, Blessing will soon snap back. She's just talking.
I'm Danielle North. I am the co-founder of Detroit Women's Leadership Network. We are a group of over 7,000 women who uplift, support, and mentor one another on a virtual platform. But then we also do things in person. I'm also the vice president of Promise Schools, a nonprofit charter management organization, and I'm a school consultant for Grand Valley State University. I am a mom of 3 boys, including a 4-month-old.
Congratulations, by the way. Lots of new moms here. Shout out to the new moms, because y'all are the real MVP. So, Colleen, this question is for you. There's a lot of talk now around flexibility. And so what does flexibility really, really mean to us as women, as ambitious professional women?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one we get asked all the time and that we talk about a lot. And I think the best place to start is flexibility as a word has taken on a bit of a nebulous form and to get very clear about what flexibility means for you and what it means for you right now will help you as you guide through and navigate your next step in your career. And so a good example is some people think flexibility means I need to work 100% remote and have full autonomy over my schedule. That's one side of the spectrum. But you might find that, hey, my job's actually great. I have a great manager. And ultimately what I need is to be able to leave 2 days a week at 4:30. Or I need to be able to get into the office at 9:30, whatever it is, right? And so being able to be really clear about what those factors are for you will help guide the conversation in a much more productive manner. Because when we just say, I need more flexibility, often who we're talking to don't know what it means to you, and it's often a lot easier to achieve once it's very tangible and you understand what it is. And then once you have it, of course, things evolve, right? So you can't get too stuck in what worked for you just when you had a new baby. You know, there are things that will happen as your kids get older, as you change jobs, as your commute, may fluctuate. And so being able to evolve your flexibility and really keep that close and be able to articulate that to who you work for.
And Amoya, you started My Dream Big Club. You're also the regional vice president for Rite Aid. One of the reasons why you're on this panel is because you are very flexible. So I call you, and I'm like, where are you? You're like, oh, I'm home. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I'm working, but I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I said, wait a minute. How can you be vice president and you're not at work? So can you give us a little bit of insight into how you were able to achieve that flexibility at work? And also, how did you push for that? Because a lot of us are seeking flexibility at work, but we don't exactly know how to seek out flexible work. We don't know what kind of questions to start, what kind of conversations to start having. So where did you start that conversation, and what were some of the key steps you took to achieve that?
So I'll start with how I even got there. I think it's important, especially for us women and mothers. I'm a mother of 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old, and I have a son who's going to be 2 in November. And I think a lot of times we shy away from opportunities with our various corporations. We shy away from promotions. We shy away from growing. And a lot of times we think it's because it's going to be a heavy lift, we can't handle it. But the truth is, what I've found out, and my friends who are in similar positions, is the higher you get, the more flexibility you actually have. Right now, I'm talking to you guys. Before I was here, I was on the conference call in the back room. Some people may have seen me. Now I'm here, and once I get off here, I'm going to go do some notes. It really is one of those things where you look at positions that are available, and the lady who was moderating the panel here, the previous panel, spoke about being the best at what you do. Push to be the best at what you're doing. Keep learning. Keep being a sponge. And us as women, sometimes we get comfortable being around other women because, oh, she's a mother. No, get comfortable being around the men in your workforce too. Get to know them. Find mentors amongst them as well, because they're going to be your advocates. They're going to be the people sitting down on the table and putting your name up front because they know you. Don't shy away from it. Find the connection with those men in your organizations as well that can help you grow. And then as you grow, you find out you are so flexible. I mean, you can really, a lot of times, I may work from Starbucks, I may work from home, I may travel. A lot of, I have an office, but I'm never really in the office. And the reason is because for me to do my job, I don't need to be in any particular spot. I can be in Japan if I wanted to be. As long as I can get on a call, I can follow up with who I need to follow up with, it's fine. So as Blessing said, I am a pharmacist by profession, and I started off as a staff pharmacist. So when you guys go to your regular CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, that will be me. I'm the pharmacist behind the counter. But then I quickly became a pharmacy district manager, a district leader, so I'm in charge of both the pharmacy and the front end of the store, dealing with operations, budget, became a regional healthcare leader, so just focused on health and wellness. And now I was recently promoted about a month and a half ago to vice president. And vice president,
Congratulations.
Thank you. And even that was a huge leap for me and my family, because you're talking moving from Michigan to California. My husband is doing well here too. But we look at it as another opportunity to just grow, because I look at my mentors who are in higher positions, who are, the executives or the CEO, their schedule is even more flexible. The only difference is when ish hits the fence, it's all on you as the leader, right? So you want to make sure that you have things in place. But besides that, really, you are flexible. You can take a conference call from your car. You can do whatever it is that you need to do. You can be at your kid's recital and, quickly run off to another room and, take a call or follow up with who you need to follow up. You are really the mastermind behind a lot of things. You're not so much the executor. You have people that are executing as you keep growing. So I really challenge a lot of women, keep growing if you can, if it's something you're interested in, if you're in the workforce and you want to grow, don't shy away from it. Find other women that would support you and that would encourage you to know that it's possible.
That's a great point, because I started off as an engineer. So, I was the one, doing all the calculations and going in. They called me at 2 a.m. in the morning, and my husband was always like, what is going on? I was literally spinning, sprinting right out of my house at 2 a.m. in the morning to go, fix a technical problem, get all the team together. And now, nobody calls me. Because, I kind of, again, strategically, and this is because a lot of people talk about flexibility, and it's so hard to achieve flexibility in a starting position, right? Because, again, like Amoya, you were out there as a staff pharmacist, and so you needed to be there because people need their medication. But now you're able to gain that flexibility because you kind of strategically moved yourself into those positions. And even though they seemed daunting, and we've talked a lot today about, just going for your, aiming higher, dreaming bigger, going for it in your career. But I think what comes with that is that flexibility, that ability to say, hey, I'm going to be at the recital. But that also means that sometimes I'm at home and it's 11 p.m. and the kids are now in bed, and I quickly get a couple of emails out, right? Because, again, all day I was at a recital, or I was taking the kids out to a play date or to the playground. But I found that as the higher I went in my career, the more flexibility I was able to achieve. And I know, Danielle, you do a lot of things because you were searching for flexibility. You started off, again, like everybody else, kind of clocking in, clocking out, but you felt like you needed to make a change. Can you walk us through what kind of changes you made in order to achieve that flexibility?
Sure. So I started my own K-12 consulting firm while I was still working. I was the deputy director of the charter schools office at Detroit Public Schools, and I was very focused on being able to uplift my skills and abilities and take those anywhere, right? These transferable skills. I encourage any of you who are looking for flexibility to begin to make a list, to begin to look at the things that you do every day. Does this require me to be here? Is this something that I can do for any number of companies, or I can do from home or from the park or wherever I need to do these things? And begin to understand that for yourself. So if you want to stay where you are and you don't want to become a consultant, you have to get the gall, right? To go to your supervisor or your manager or whomever and begin to demand these things. If they value you as an employee, right? And so I always put a disclaimer in front of these things, even with, taking the leap of faith and leaving your job. I never encourage people to just up and leave their job without a plan. And I'm not encouraging you to go in front of your boss and just say, hey, I demand this. But what I'm saying is once you get to a place where you have everything down pat, you've built that relationship, you're achieving and you're demonstrating your ability, you can go to them, walk into that office. The only thing that they can say to you is no, and ask for what it is that you want. I have some of my work where it's actually an employment contract and others where it's a consulting contract. But in either of those situations, I've gone in and I've said, if you want me, this is what I require. Thank you for the office, but I cannot work here because I need the ability to go to, I guess I didn't name this. I own the first and only indoor playground in the city of Detroit, which is also a licensed child care center. And so I need to be at my business sometimes. I don't have to work there every day, but I need to go in there and check on things and make sure everything is running smoothly. So I cannot hold a seat for you, right? Because a lot of employers want you to just hold a seat. And you have to demand, is this required? Because if not, I can be more productive for you. I am more productive doing all of these things than I ever have been sitting at somebody's desk from 9 to 5. It is not required. It is part of the system, right? And Colleen and I had a conversation earlier where you have these employers who are a little more rigid just because they're afraid, right? They don't want everyone to find out that Sally has has this kind of flexibility because Joe is going to want that as well. So you have to know what your skills and abilities are that you can uplift and take no matter where you are. And you have to be able and comfortable to demand that, whether it's a contract or if it's with your employer, and go for it.
Absolutely. Great point. I think my company, BASF, we don't exactly, it's not like a work from home job, right? It's a Monday through Friday job, and they do, quote unquote, say you have flexibility. So with my new job, I'm a supply operations manager for BASF and Total Petrochemical. So I work for two companies, and they kind of want you to be there. And I walked in 7 months pregnant, which, by the way, I interviewed at 6 months pregnant. And I interviewed with 4 other men, and I sure got home, and I think I called you, Amoya. I literally called her, and I was like, oh, I'm not getting that job. Like, I looked terrible just walking in, waddling, and the next day, I called her back. I was like, Amoya, you're not going to believe this, but I did get the job. And what was funny was I showed up, and my boss was like, oh, yeah, we kind of value FaceTime. And I was like, oh, can we have a conversation? And, it was I said, one of the reasons I joined this company is because, you guys told me that you're flexible. So if you have a company that has mentioned that they were flexible, and then you get there and you realize that they were not really flexible, they just said that so to get you in the door, you need to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation. And that was exactly what I did. I said, look, I can get my job done. I work harder than anybody that you know, and I will work for you. I will make you look good. I said, but here are my conditions. I will not come to work on Friday. It is not going to happen. And he was like, oh, okay, why is that? I said, because first of all, the commute in Houston is crazy. I said, I will not be in the car for 2 hours, Monday through Friday. So you're gonna have to give me one day. I said, second is that I need to have, lunch with my kids on Fridays. That is something that I am committed to doing, and I will do that. And the same way that I'm going to honor that commitment is the same way I'm going to honor my commitment to this company. And he was like, fine, you got it. And, the other guys started asking, and they also got it. And this doesn't just affect women, right? It also affects men. It's like men are out there also working Monday through Friday. My husband was able to negotiate a Friday off as well. And so now we're both home on Friday with our kids. So I want to challenge you to have that conversation. Don't be scared, because I think as women, we kind of internalize things, right? We build up all these walls in our head that it's not going to be possible. Oh, I'm sure my performance is not that great. They're not going to, whether or not, it doesn't matter. Just get out there and ask those questions. But I want to come back to you, Colleen, because I know you work with a lot of companies that are flexible. And so how can we really screen for flexibility when we're maybe interviewing, or when a lot of us are looking for other jobs that are flexible? What are some of the, valuable, what are the key steps that you think we can take with some of the companies that you're seeing out there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And one of the ways that we've been coaching women who are interviewing with companies to screen for flexibility is really to screen for respect. So while flexibility can take on a variety of meanings, I think we can all agree that ultimately you want to work somewhere where your culture is respectful of working parents, period. And so it can be daunting in an interview setup because the dynamic it will always feel a little bit like, pick me, I don't want to ask any hard questions of you. But ultimately, you are interviewing them. Do you want to spend 30 to 70 hours a week in this culture? And so if you're able to ask very specific questions of that hiring manager and meet with other women in the organization to walk through not just, oh yeah, we offer flexibility, right? That's like an easy thing to say and a harder thing to do, particularly across large organizations who have many different locations. So if you're able to say, well, what does flexibility look like here specifically? On your team specifically, right? And then they have the chance to either pass, fail, right? So they'll either come to the table with, oh, it's great. We have this whole program about how we welcome our teammates back from maternity leave. We have this great flex back program. They'll be able to talk about what makes them so great. And you will be able to find out very quickly the ones that are giving lip service to respect and flexibility. Oh, yeah, sometimes we have happy hour. Like on Fridays at 5, like, no. That's
That's not going to happen.
It does not work for me, and most working moms. And so you'll be able to see, and it is a question they should be able to answer if it's a benefit that they're really trying to promote. And so I think it's important to flip the script a little bit in those
So
conversations.
don't be afraid during those interviews.
Yeah.
That's a great point, because those are questions that I also ask as well. Just to, again, it also projects that you value yourself and you value your time.
Yes.
So if you're job hunting or you're thinking of switching industries, just be very upfront.
Yeah.
This is something that my friend Mary Beth, where is she? She does a lot of work around that on, helping women to kind of get out there and ask for, what they really should be getting out of the workplace. But I want to turn it over to the audience. Are there any questions from the audience?
Hi, everyone. My name is Remy. I'm the founder of Grace to Parent. It's a parenting platform just like Mother, honestly. I'm so glad to be here. I actually wasn't sure I fit in just because I'm a mompreneur. I stay home and I work from home, and I just didn't know how I connected with, like the career conversations. But I really wanted to point out something that Amoya said about as you get higher, you have more flexibility. And I know that Bonley also talked about something like that, like as you go higher in the career ladder, you have a voice, right? And you can use that voice. So this is for all of you, anyone can answer. How do you extend this voice to people that are just starting, that don't know that they have that option? They're afraid to say that they even want it because they don't want to be fired, because they can't afford to lose their jobs. So how do you plan to push that conversation lower so that people that that are too scared to speak up for themselves even know that option is there, and that you're like, how do you invite them basically into that kind of conversation so that they can start, the pressure's off, and they work better because they know that, okay, this is an option. Sometimes you don't even have to take the option, but just knowing that it's there just makes you a little less pressure.
Yeah, I can actually answer that question. I don't know if anybody else. One of the best ways that I found is to join, I think it was Renee that said, they have an affinity group. Join a parenting group in your organization. That was something that I did very earlier on in my career. I used to work for DuPont. It's a chemical company. And my very first year, I literally joined the women's group. And through that program, I was able to start advocating, even as an entry-level engineer. I started, meeting with the plant managers, meeting with with our regional leaders through those groups, and I found that really helpful because I started having those conversations, planting those seeds, right? And so when they meet with my manager, they're like, "Oh, we met Blessing, and she was talking about all those wonderful initiatives that was happening, that is happening here in our sites," and she talked about, maybe flexibility, or she talked about a nursing room for our daughter. Is there any way we can make that happen? So really just having that, finding those avenues, getting involved, I've found as an entry-level worker, or as, maybe a worker that is clocking in and clocking out, and you want more flexibility, start injecting yourself in those different groups, because you're not going to have a voice as an entry level. I mean, I was like, nobody knew me. But when I joined those organizations, everybody knew me. And, well, you guys know that I know how to get everybody to know me. So, literally, I was walking door to door and like, who wants to join the DuPont Women's Network, which is no surprise that I now started Mother Honestly. But yeah, just get out there and get involved. It's really, you're not invisible.
Okay. I work in education, and so this is a slippery slope, right? Because I have gone higher up, and in education, there's a conversation about, oh, well, if I'm on the front lines and I'm a teacher, or I'm in the classroom more, I'm doing more than you. How is it that you have a higher position, or you're doing? However, so it's a very interesting conversation that you're having depending on what work setting you're in. So even for Amoya, like, she can't tell a pharmacist here's how you get this flexibility because they have to be there, right? So it's more of a futuristic conversation about once you start climbing that ladder, what is possible. But people do get kind of, wow, I hate to use this term, but jealous about that. So it's also being careful about who it is that you can and can't talk to. So people will come to me and I will share things with them. And it's also difficult to be a mentor, but then also have a higher level position within an organization. So people are, how did you get here? And how I'm always very open and I always share, but I always make it very clear that I'm not telling you leave. I'm not telling you go and tell your boss off or however. So I think it's, you have to have women who are open with sharing their story and being genuine, and that's how I am, and that's what I would hope that all of us do to share with the next level of women.
That's great. Yeah, I have a very short one. I parent out loud at work. I don't hide that I have kids. I know that sounds weird. I also work at the Mom Project, full disclosure. I know that this is probably the warmest environment you could have, but there still is this, oh, we're in a board meeting, and they're like, oh, you have to leave. I'm like, yeah, I have to. I'm picking up my son. And I don't make a secret about it because I know all the people who are working for me on my team would then also feel that way. Same with maternity leave. When I'm out on maternity leave, I don't take phone calls. I'm like out, because I don't want anyone to feel like there would be any other expectation during that time. And so that's...
We'll take one more question.
So I'm, oh, oopsie.
Oh, I guess we'll take
I'm
two
so
questions
sorry.
and then we'll wrap it up.
You go, you're
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I work for a manufacturing and retail company here in Detroit, and my company is good, you know, if I need like the afternoon off here and there, I might need to work from home once in a while. But blessing what you said about you just going in there and telling them what you need is very inspirational and terrifying. What advice do you have for the, well, if I do this for you, I have to do this for everybody sort of answer from who you're asking from? And then how do you handle coworkers or maybe even people that report to you that have sort of that jealousy factor or why do you get to do this just because you had a baby and I have to be here 40, 50 hours a week?
Awesome. I'll tell you something I did in my previous role, and that was actually it was very, very funny because I was the only woman on the team. I'm still the only woman in my team right now. And what I did was I actually got the guys involved. So I went to Tom's office, Scott's office, and I was like, guys, we need his Fridays off, guys. You know, we need his Fridays off. And they were like, you know, you're right. I said, you know, at our next meeting, our next team meeting, I want us to bring it up. I'll bring it up, and you guys can back me up. And they were like, you got it. And, you know, we got there. This is a real situation because my Fridays are very important to me. And, you know, we got in there, and our boss was like, okay, is there anything else we haven't said today? Like, okay, Blessing, you got everything. And I was like, oh, you know, I actually wanted to talk about those Fridays. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, you know, it would be nice if we at least get one day, you know, working from home. I mean, traffic and, you know, all this doctor's appointments and yada, yada, yada. And he was like, yeah, you know, I don't know this is a great time to have that. And before he landed, I'm telling you guys, Tom, Scott, you know, they were all like, yeah, you know, it's really, because Monday through Thursday, people are walking through our doors. They're asking all these different questions. Friday is a good time to really be by yourself and knock out all those things that have not been knocked out from Monday through Thursday. And he was like, oh, that's a great point. Because I do remember a day that I worked from home, you know, there was no distraction and no interruptions, and I was able to get a lot of things done. And guys, that was how we got our Fridays off. And my coworker is actually in the room here, Laura, in my previous role as well. We fought so hard for Fridays. Laura is somewhere here. You guys can ask her. These are true stories. We fought really hard for Fridays off with our bosses. We were having multiple conversations. You may not win that same day, but just keep having that conversation. Keep bringing it up and talking about it. And one day, they will cave in, I promise you. I think that's all. Thank you so much. Oh.
Honestly, my question was essentially the same thing, so great minds.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you, panel. That was awesome. Awesome. Keep pushing, keep